guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I really wanted to bring you a chattier sort of video, sort of one where just me and you sit and get to know each other and have a bit of a chat in front of the camera, rather than me sitting and showing you products or talking about my favourite things or showing you makeup and stuff like that. I really just wanted to do a bit more of a personal video, and obviously you can tell by the title this is the my first time tag. Now I'm always really intrigued by these kind of videos and I'm always drawn to watch other people's, and I really enjoy kind of getting to know some of my favourite YouTubers a little bit more. So I thought I would do this little video for you all, kind of let you guys get to know me in a bit more of a personal way, sort of figuring out what my first things were. So there's lots and lots of different sort of topics to this, as you guys probably know if you're into these kind of videos as well. And I'm just going to go through each of the topics and let you know the answers to some of these questions. So let's get started then. So the first one is, what was my first tweet? Now I've just scrolled through the entirety of my Twitter feed looking for the first tweet that I ever wrote. Now it would only let me get so far, it wouldn't kind of let me go as far back as I would have liked, but the furthest I could get was the 6th of September 2012, and my tweet said, "To be honest, I really don't know why I bother to have long hair. It's always shoved up in a scruffy wet bun on my head. Hashtag lazy." Pretty much the same now. I still have long hair and it still gets shoved up in a wet bun on my head. However, today I've actually shoved it up in a wet ponytail, and it's I kind of straightened a bit of it and dried it. So nothing's changed in the last 4 years, evidently. But yeah, so that was my first tweet. Next, my first YouTube video. Now, the first YouTube video I created was probably about nearly 2 years ago now, but I actually deleted it, and I'm pretty sure it was like my everyday makeup routine or something like that, and it was really rubbish. I actually did it on the webcam of my laptop, which I think I might actually still have snippets of it on my laptop somewhere, but I daren't bring myself to watch it because it would be so embarrassing. But yeah, I think that was my first YouTube video. The first person I subscribed to, I'm pretty sure that will probably have been Zoella. I'm pretty sure it probably was anyway. Or somebody like that, or Lucy Flight, or Just Jodes, In the Fro. These kind of people all ring a bell to me, so I'm thinking it's probably somebody like that. My first Facebook profile picture, now let me just have a little look and see which one it is. I think in my head I know actually which one it is, but I'll find it for you anyway. I don't actually feel like I've changed that much over the years, so this probably isn't going to be that much of a difference other than my hair and the fact it was like 8 years ago, so let's have a look anyway. Right, so I found it. This was my first ever Facebook profile picture. This was actually for a young farmer's ball I went to when I was 16 or 17, I cannot entirely remember which age I was, and I wore this ASOS dress. I had naturally brown hair, that's the natural colour of my hair, and it was a bit shorter than it is now as well, but I used to absolutely love this photo, and yeah, so that was my first ever Facebook profile picture. I actually still quite like that photo in a weird way. There's a lot worse ones that could have been there. The first alcoholic drink I had was probably something like a Wicked or a Smirnoff Ice, something like that. I think my auntie let me try a little sip of one New Year years and years ago, and that's the first drink that I can kind of remember. My first job was actually in a restaurant at home in my hometown, and I worked there for about 10 months, something like that. So I was a waitress there, kind of worked in the kitchen sometimes and did the washing up and stuff like that as well. But I actually really enjoyed my first job. Like, I really got stuck in and worked really hard and stuff. So I think I was about 14, 15 when I had that job, but I really enjoyed it. And obviously the money was obviously a bonus, because you go from having none to suddenly having money and you don't know what to do with it. It's amazing. First car was a Toyota Yaris. I had him from when I was 17 to about 1920. 1920, that sounds like the year 1920. Till the age of 19/20. And then I got rid of him, and I didn't have a car and I didn't drive for probably about 2 years, and then I bought my brother's old Corsa, which is the Corsa that I've got now, and the plan is actually to buy myself a new car at the beginning of next year, which I'm saving for, and I'm really excited because I know exactly what I want, and yeah, I'm just really looking forward to it. Next is the first text you received today. Okay, let's have a look. I don't think it's anything interesting, to be perfectly honest with you. The first text I received today was actually from DHL, the delivery company. That's quite sad actually, isn't it? So yeah, it was just basically to say that a parcel was being delivered to my house and it needed a signature. So that was a pretty boring text to receive for the first text of the day, but you know. Next is the first thought, my first thought of the morning. What was my first thought this morning? I'm pretty sure when I woke up, the first thought I had was, what time was it? Because I could hear the bin wagon outside coming and emptying the bins, and I wondered what time it was. And then I heard Simon fumbling around downstairs, sort of getting ready to go to work, so I was really confused what time it was, especially as I had an alarm set, but woke up like an hour and 20 minutes before my alarm anyway. So yeah, that was probably my first thought this morning, was about the bin man outside. The name of my first year 1 teacher. Now, I don't know whether this means reception, which is what we call like first grade in England, or kindergarten, or whatever you call it in America. I know different schools even call them different things, so we had reception and then we had year 1. So reception, my teacher was called Mrs. Rochester. She had blonde hair, and I think everybody pretty much worshipped her when she was our teacher. She was so lovely. And yeah, my year 1 teacher, though, if that's what the question is, was actually a lady called Mrs. Abbott, who I believe is still really good friends with my grandma right now, but she was really lovely as well, and she used to ask about me and stuff up until probably now. Yeah, she was really, really lovely as well. I had really nice teachers through school, actually. I can't really complain about any of them. They were all really nice. Next is, where did you go on your first plane ride? My first plane ride, I believe it was on holiday with my family. Like, we went on a big holiday when I was 4, I think, and it was to Spain, so to the south of Spain. So we probably flew into Malaga airport, I'm guessing, because I think we went to Costa del Sol, and that's at the bottom of Spain. So yeah, probably Spain. My first friend. Now, this is quite a difficult one because I'm not entirely sure who my first friend was. I've had friends that I've known forever, but my first friend was probably when we lived in our first house. There was me and James, obviously, and we had some children next door called Tom and Annalie. I don't think that they watch my videos, so this probably isn't too embarrassing, but I believe that they were our first sort of friends, because we used to go around to their house and play with them, and they used to come to our house and play with us. But we moved from there when we were like 5, so that's as far back as I can remember. But I'm assuming that they probably came to our birthday parties and we probably went to theirs and stuff, but obviously it was a child, I don't really remember that far back. But I'm assuming it was probably them being our first friends. But if not, it would probably be my friend Charlotte, who I was friends with and still am really good friends with now. When I moved into my house after that, we were really good friends, so probably her, or my friend Rachel from school. Rachel is actually one of my best friends now. You've probably seen her on like my Instagram and my pictures, and she's on my Twitter and stuff like that, because we're still like best friends now. There's 4 of us in a group and we've all been friends for like 20 years. So yeah, probably Annalie and Thomas, or Tom, Rachel and Charlotte were probably my oldest friends. When was my first sleepover? I believe it was probably at Rachel's house, or a girl that I used to be really good friends with when I was back in primary school and secondary school called Becky. We always used to have sleepovers at her house, and yeah, they used to be like really fun and stuff when we were younger. So I'm thinking it's probably either at Rachel's, because I actually used to stay there sometimes on a school night as well, because I don't really know why. Like my mum just used to let me have sleepovers sometimes on a school night, which was really random. So either Rachel's or Becky's. My first concert, now this is an easy one because I never went to concerts as a child, but my first concert that I remember is probably the one where actually I won tickets to, which was quite impressive. Me and my mum went to see Blue in Manchester when I was about 10, I think, something like that, maybe a bit younger, 9, 10. And I actually won tickets at Hollywood Bowl. We had to just fill in this Pepsi Max competition thing when we were getting some slush puppies, and I actually won. So me and my mum got 2 tickets to go and see Blue. We went to Manchester on the train, and then we actually came back, so we missed the end of the concert so that we could get back and stuff, because we had to go and pick my brothers up from my nana's. But it was really good. Yeah, that was probably my first concert, and then I don't think I went to another concert again until I was probably in my teens and took myself to them. Next is my first broken bone. I cannot actually say I've ever officially broken a bone, if you know what I mean. I've never gone to hospital because I've broken a bone. I've broken my nose, as you could probably tell, because it's horrific, and I've broken my big toe on my left foot, I think it is. I broke my nose when I was 12. I crashed a quad bike into a wall quite badly, like an adult quad bike into a wall. Broke the bike, broke the wall, broke my nose, knocked myself out, had horrific bruising everywhere, and that's why I've been left with sort of like a bump to the side of my nose and sort of like a bit of a deviated septum, which does not look great, and one day I would love to get this sorted out. It's so bad. Next question is, what was my first piercing? My first piercing was my ears. I was 10 when I got them done, and I got them done from Santa. Now, I got home from my grandma's one day and there was a letter in front of the fireplace from Santa, and I picked it up and it basically said Santa was allowing me to get my ears pierced, and it was a gift from him, so he was allowing my mum to take me to get them done, and he booked an appointment for me and all that sort of stuff. So we went along and we got my ears pierced, and I was so happy because I was supposed to be 14 when I got them done. Next is what was my first foreign country I went to, and again I think that was probably Spain on the first plane ride I went to. First movie I watched, oh my gosh, how am I supposed to know that? I was obsessed with Disney as a child. I used to wear my videos out. I do very much remember being obsessed with The Little Mermaid, obsessed with Sleeping Beauty, obsessed with Snow White. I actually remember having 2 videos of Snow White at one point. I think one was my nana's that I stole, and actually had 2 in my collection for that reason. But yeah, it was probably a Disney film of some description, and I'm pretty sure my family would back me up on that because I was pretty obsessed with Disney as a child. What was my first detention? This is kind of a bad one actually. Like, I wouldn't class anything in primary school as a detention, but secondary school, obviously you class them as detentions. Like, you didn't include them as detentions in primary, so I'm not going to talk about primary. But basically the first detention I ever got in secondary school was for a pretty bad reason really, which I probably won't go into because it's kind of embarrassing, but basically I thought I was funny and wanted to be popular and make people laugh, and so I acted like a bit of a clown and ended up getting a detention for it. I won't go into it because it's really quite nasty and I feel really quite guilty now, and I would never do what I did then. But no, it's really not that bad. I'm making it out to be super horrific here. It was bad at the time and it's still bad now, and I'm super sorry and super like disgusted in myself for what I did. But basically it was just not very nice, so I'm not going to go into it. First roommate. Now I'm going to class this as being at Halls, my first roommate. So I actually had 4 roommates I think in my first flat at uni. So they were called Julie, James, Steve and Dan. So they were the people that I lived with in my first flat in student halls. They were from all over the place. So Julie was from Ireland, Steve was from Ireland, James was from Leeds I think, and Dan was from Carlisle. So people were from all over the place and they were all really nice. I'm actually not in contact with any of them anymore. I have a couple of them on Facebook, but not really in contact anymore. And the last question is, when was my first kiss? Now, I actually had a good think about this because I don't really remember any other ones as such that stood out as much as this one, but I think my first proper kiss, like not just like a peck, like a proper kiss, was in year 7 in a game of dares with a guy who I'm not going to name, but basically it was in a game of dares. We were really good friends and they dared us to kiss, so we did, and yeah, it was probably that. It wasn't really anything special, it was just kind of in a game. But yeah, so that is all a bit more about me. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video. I've actually kind of enjoyed answering these questions. Some of them are quite like interesting, some of them are quite proves how much of an idiot I am a lot of the time, and how questions like the answer to the one about my text today, that's just tragic, and the one about my first thought this morning, that's also pretty tragic, that I thought of the bin man first thing this morning. But yeah, so without further ado, I'm just going to end this video here. I really hope that you've enjoyed this. Please be sure to give it a massive thumbs up for me and click that little subscribe button down below. Don't forget that when my channel reaches 1k subscribers, I'll be doing that giveaway. It's coming really soon, guys, and I'm off to New York really soon, so I'm going to pick some goodies up for you from there as well. Don't forget to click the little link on screen right now, which will take you directly to subscribe to my channel. That would be amazing. Click the link just above just to check out my last video, which is obviously super easy to access. If you just click that link, it'll take you right to it, so you can check that out after. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye! Mwah.